Ladies, listen, what you need to do right now is go get your husband, go get your boyfriend, go get your teenagers and set them in front of the television. And then you need to leave the room because this program is for men only. Man, we're here today on our program for men only, and I'm here with Ken Armstrong. Ken, good to have you today.
It's great to be here.
Oh, man, and we're in your man cave.
Oh, isn't it nice?
Oh, man, every man should have a man cave like this.
I think so.
This is pretty cool, man. You know, you got a pool table, man. We got a ping pong table. We got a foosball table. You got weights. You got a basketball thing back there, man. So, I mean, this is a great man cave. You don't have this registered with mancave.com, do you?
No, I don't.
You know, guys, listen, if you're out there, there's actually a website where you can go and get a certified man cave where it goes on there. Oh, yeah, man, I've been to it. I tried building a man cave. It didn't end up anything like yours. But this is pretty cool, man.
I'm going to check that out.
All right, yeah. And you got the great maize and blue in here for the University of Michigan.
Yeah. No other team.
All right, thank you. I'm so glad it's not green and white, but you have to be from Michigan to understand that. But listen, man, I like your wall here. You got pictures of the big house, 115,000 people, the largest college football stadium in the United States, in Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan. You got Comerica Park, man, one of the beautiful baseball stadiums in the United States where the Detroit Tigers play baseball. And then you got the Joe Louis Arena where the Red Wings play hockey.
That's
man.
right.
And they got all their banners up there.
They've got a lot of banners.
All right, man. And then you got that. You got some other things. But, you know, you've also got down here, you got some Zetterberg and some Draper and Iserman, Steve Eis, some of those that played hockey with the Red Wings.
Yep.
Then you got Miguel Cabrera. Oh, man. Last 2 years, he'll probably be the MVP. I mean, he won the Triple Crown. I mean, great baseball player. You got the great Ernie Harwell here, Hall of Fame announcer for the Detroit Tigers. And who you got over here? Who are these guys?
Got some Barry Sanders over here.
Who?
Barry Sanders, if you remember him. I mean, back in the day when the Lions really racked them up, you know.
All right. But, you know, I look at this, and one of the things I see, especially with these athletes and even with a man like Ernie Harwell, you know, how do you think they got to their greatness? How do you think they achieved that greatness?
Well, man, the only way you can achieve the kind of greatness these guys have gotten to is by allowing somebody that can look at them, see that potential, and then begin to give them that little extra that it takes to draw that extra step, that extra potential. We can get so far on our own and think we've made it somewhere and accomplished something, but until we allow somebody else to look in and see how great the greatness inside and pull that little extra out that we can't get on our own.
Okay, so maybe we might call that thing authority, but if you have right authority in your life, it'll help pull that out. Listen, you want us to tune in because we're going to talk about how greatness can get pulled out of you. Well, Ken, we're here in your man cave. I love this. I especially love the maize and blue. I like the colors in here.
That's great color, isn't it?
Yeah, if it was green and white, I don't think we'd be taping in here.
I don't know if you could do a man show in a green and white cave.
Oh! Touche. All right. You know, Ken, we started off in our intro talking about men play hard. But, you know, the old saying is you work hard and you play hard.
That's right.
You know, so someplace in there, and part of the reason for this program, we're calling for that eagle, that quality, that excellence on the inside of men. And I think, as I've said, there's an eagle and a turkey on the inside of every man. And if I could put it in terms of work, I think that there's an eagle, there's somebody that wants to accomplish something, there's somebody that wants to be a productive, good employee, there's somebody that wants to accomplish some things in life, somebody that wants to show up a little early, stay a little late, have a good attitude. There's an eagle on the inside of every man. But I think sometimes there's a turkey on the inside of every man that wants to get to work late, wants to stay late for breaks and lunch, and wants to get as much as they can from their employer with as little as possible. I think there's that on the inside of every man in a certain respect. And part of what we're doing is we're calling for that eagle on the inside of men. We're calling for that, and that greatness and that moral excellence, and even that excellence in terms of work, because I believe that a man was designed someplace on the inside of him to accomplish some things.
Absolutely.
I don't think we were put here on this earth just to goof off and do nothing with our life.
Right.
I believe we were designed to accomplish something. And one of the ways that happens is through work.
That's right.
So I want to talk now. You got your Austin trucking shirt on, but you've owned your own businesses. You've had a number of businesses, and you manage a trucking company, right?
That's what I do. Yep.
All right. And how many employees you got?
45.
And how many of those are men?
43.
Okay. Wow. How many of them are real men? I don't answer that. They might be watching. But now, so apparently men come to work for you.
Yes.
And now when a man walks through the door and wants a job, are there certain expectations you have of that man?
Yeah, my number one expectation really is to get a guy that wants to work, wants to accomplish something.
You mean there's some guys that want a job but don't want to work?
Funny, but yes, it is true. Some guys that want a job, but their focus is they want a paycheck. They don't want to work.
They don't want to work. All right. Now, now when you say work, because to some people, work is a 4-letter word.
Well, if you're looking at it wrong, but work is accomplishing something. And like you said, every one of us have that ego on the inside of us that desires to accomplish something, desires to do things that mean something in life, that make a difference. And work creates that. And just having that motivation when you show up, the motivation to do the best you can do at whatever that thing is, that job is that you have, that whether it's in the office, whether it's in a factory, whether it's driving a truck like they do for me, whatever it is you're doing, to have the motivation to do the best that you can do and to do the best job possible.
Okay. And now I think of it this way. Now this may sound super simple, but whenever I come home every day, my wife will look at me and say, "What'd you do today?" And being a preacher, us preachers only work 2 days a week, so.
Tough luck.
Yeah. But, I want to be able, at least to my wife, to say, well, I did this, and we worked on this, and we made some headway on this. Maybe I dealt with these people. I like to be able, there's something too, when you feel like you accomplished something.
Right.
I might even say it this way. I think with a man, when he accomplishes some things and he feels like he's accomplishing something with his effort, you walk a little bit taller. You stand a little bit straighter. And if I could say it this way, I know there's good pride and bad pride. Pride is usually can be bad, but there can be a pride that that there can be a proper pride that says, I accomplished something today. I got something done today.
It gives you a sense of worth, that you feel like you're worth something. And one of the things I think we battle the most with guys is feeling like we're worth something. And then we don't show up for work, and we feed the worthless feeling we have inside of us, instead of feeding that value that we have inside of us that says, I'm accomplishing something, I'm worth something, and I'm doing something with my life.
So you mean tell me a man that works hard? Now I agree with this, but I think you're almost saying that a man who works hard and accomplishes something actually feels better about himself, feels he's more valuable.
I believe so.
So on the other end, if a man is not accomplishing things, is not working hard, it actually devalues himself.
Yes, I believe so.
Well, and it's interesting, and I don't want to, I know this is going to sound hard, but we're talking to men. This is a man's show.
Right.
Okay, so man, if I can say it this way, a lot of times people out drinking and doing drugs and things like that
are a lot of
times the guys that aren't accomplishing anything.
That's right.
And I just wonder if part of that comes from the fact that their own self-worth, because they're not out there doing anything, they're not out there working hard,
Right.
they're not out there accomplishing anything, and because of their low self-esteem, just the way they see themselves, all of a sudden drugs and alcohol and partying and whatever else looks real good to them.
Right. They're trying to fill an empty void inside of themselves that would be filled with confidence and by accomplishing something. You know, that self-worth that would be there, that would grow as they accomplish the things that they put their hands to in their life.
Wow. Now, you know, we sort of outlined this program. We've gone totally off of the outline.
We
but
have.
this is good. This is good because there is a value. So one of the things that work does is it brings value to a man.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that, we don't necessarily preach on this show, but, you know, one of the things that you find in Scripture, even when God created man, God gave man a job to do.
Right.
Told him to take care of the garden, take care, you know, keep it, protect it, and things like that, almost to give him some worth, some value.
Right.
So a man of quality, a man of excellence, a real man, in some form or fashion, gets out there and does a good job, works hard at what he does, and accomplishes some things. And produces maybe some self-worth, some proper pride as a man, that I'm a man, I got some things done,
Right.
I'm doing some things.
Right.
Boy. Now, at work, do you see a difference between the guys that are good accomplishers and those that aren't so good?
It's not hard to find. It's not hard to see the difference.
Now, do you see the difference in their own value and that they have in themselves?
I think so. I think it's easy to see somebody who doesn't seem to be real satisfied with their life, their work ethic, their motivation, their what they're accomplishing is not as clear. And it's a lot more of you motivating them to accomplish things than them being self-motivated to get it done. And I think that's a self-worth.
All right, listen, we'll be back in just a moment. We'll talk some more about how a real man works.
Hi, this is Tony Rory with Men of Honor, and I'm coming to you today from a public middle school classroom where we mentor and train young men to be world changers for Christ. You know, the Bible tells us that we're created in the image of God, and therefore we already have greatness on the inside. But for some of these young people, they need men like you and me to call that greatness out of them. As Scripture tells us, greater is He that is in us than he that's in the world. Be a world changer for Christ today. Be a man of God. Be a man of honor.
Well, Ken, we're back here. That was a great first segment. But, we're talking about a man and how he gets value from what he does and how that affects him and what have you. But, one of the things, you talked about, that when you look for a man that comes into your business, that, you got 43 men that work for you, and that
Right.
you mentioned the word motivation.
Yeah, motivation is such a huge key. There's a thing about having individuals that are self-motivated. They have that drive to learn what they're doing, to perfect that job, get good at it, and then you've got other individuals that you are constantly having to motivate to accomplish the task you want them to accomplish, and that's a drain when you've got people like that.
So that's one of the keys of what you look for in an employee.
Absolutely. Look for that self-motivation. A lot of times when I interview employees, I actually ask a little bit about what they do outside of work. You find individuals that have activities outside of work that they're motivated, they're doing things after hours. That person has a motivation. A guy that goes home after work and he's just hanging out on the couch, laying around watching. Don't get me wrong, a good baseball game is good to watch, but you're constantly just doing things like that. Your motivation, in my opinion, and I'll just stress that's my opinion, but I've seen it for years. That motivation, that self-motivation is really not there to accomplish.
There's a principle, I think it's a law of physics, but I think it's also a commercial now. But it talks about a body or something in motion tends to stay in motion.
Yeah.
And a body at rest tends to stay at rest.
Right, absolutely.
So, and we're talking to men, I believe men were, like was said earlier, our men are designed to accomplish some things.
Right.
But to do that, you got to be in motion. You got to be doing something.
You got to be doing something.
Now, I sit and I think when Now, I'm in my 50s now, but my first real job, now I had a couple jobs, before I got my, quote, first real job, but one was delivering papers, and another was picking blueberries.
Yep.
And at least my motivation picking blueberries, we'd get out there in the blueberry patch, even though I was a young teenager, I was going to fill up my bucket faster than anybody else, and at the end of the day, I was going to have more buckets filled than anyone else. Yep. And at least that was a motivation for me, and I didn't win every day, but I won a lot of days because I just wanted to, I liked the money.
That's right.
But then I sat and I think when I went to work, my first real job was at the Kalamazoo Gazette newspaper in Kalamazoo. And I was a part-time person in the circulation department, low man on the totem pole. But one of the things my mother taught me, I can't say what the exact words she used, but she said I could never do a halfway job. She used another phrase, but I had to do it the best, and so that was the way I was trained at home.
Right.
And when I got to the Kalamazoo Gazette, I was a part-time employee. I would get there early. Not only did I get there early, but before I left, I would go around to, we usually were there after hours, the full-time employees left. But every time I would go around and I'd ask, do you guys need anything? Is there anything I can help with? I'm about to leave. And part of it was just being courteous, but also wanting to be a help. And,
right.
There were times everybody'd say, no, go on home. And there are other times said, but we're really in trouble here. We're really having a problem. Could you take care of this for me? And I'd say, yeah, I'd be glad to. And I'd do that. Well, eventually, just that simple attitude and going there to work eventually got me, in a sense, promoted even among the part-time people to where I was the top one on the totem pole.
All right.
And then long story short, I went into the Air Force, had some medical problems, came out of the Air Force, that the Kalamazoo Gazette, because of the job I did, created a job for me.
That's right.
Because they wanted me, because they'd seen my work ethic. You go in there, you show up early, you stay late, you do whatever you're asked to do, you do extra.
Right.
And that self-motivation, like what you were talking about, nobody asked me to do that.
Right.
But I wanted to go in, I wanted to do a good job. And eventually, now, the rest of the story in that one, at 18 years old, they created a job for me. A few months later, I was one of the youngest guys they ever hired in full-time management at the Kalamazoo Gazette. And then when I got into a management position, which back then, making $10, $11, $12 an hour, back in the 70s was pretty decent money, especially for an 18-year-old. That probably wouldn't be bad now for some 18-year-olds. But, and the thing is, and now I'm a pastor and I was a Christian back then. We got into a setting in that office, a lot of the full-time guys, if your district, I was a district manager, there were 9 of us in there, and if you had a district, and your district was going good, the boss basically didn't care what you did, just as long as your district was good.
Right.
And they had certain things that determined whether your district was good. And the truth was, there were some guys that goofed off and would go do things. They'd go car shopping or hunting, or, and we had a place we'd sign out, and so that if somebody called in and say so-and-so would be back at this time or what have you.
Right.
So when you got in there, it was real easy to sort of get into that mode of doing things.
Right.
And sort of go with the flow like everybody else. And I remember God said to me, because we got paid for 37 and a half hours a week was the hours we worked. God said to me, he said, if you can't work for the Kalamazoo Gazette 37 and a half hours, I'm never going to hire you. And so I went in, and even when there were slow times, I didn't have anything to do. I learned every job in that office. I learned jobs that were below my pay grade that the part-time people did. But I'd go to the part-time person, what can I do to help you? You need some help? And I'd help do their job. I was the mail person. All the mail came into our department. It was the job of the part-time person to do. But I learned all the mail, the scales, all that stuff, because when I didn't have something to do, I just wasn't going to sit there and goof off.
Right.
I was going to work hard. Now, the truth was, by the time I was just about 23, I retired from the Kalamazoo Gazette and went into ministry. And the publisher of the Kalamazoo Gazette brought me into his office, sat me down on his leather couch and said, Tim, what can we do to keep you? And I said, you can't. I'm going into full-time ministry. And the publisher looked at me and said, well, man, you got more faith than I do. And I said, that's right, sir, I do. and I left the Kalamazoo Gazette, but they offered me my job back 2 other times. And I think it came from the fact that I went in and I not only, I worked, if I could say it that way. I went in to do the job. If I could say it this way, I had a chance for that turkey to rise.
Right.
But someplace in me, that self-motivation, maybe that pride, that eagle rose, and it made a place for me as a young man at the Kalamazoo Gazette.
What a huge key. What a huge key.
Yeah. All right. Now listen, we're going to be back in a few moments, talk some more about a man and his work. Ken, we're back here in your man cave. We've been talking about a man and his work. I know I talked a little bit, told a little bit of my story. You got some stories too, just of working hard, learning things, and being motivated.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a lot like yours. You know, it's interesting how when I was younger, and it was at the age of 18 and 19, I had my 2-year degree, and I applied for a job at a company, and I got an accounting position. And it was accounts payable. All I was doing was really paying the bills, and a fairly simple job. Not making a lot of money, but in the process of just doing that, I found I had extra time, but I was interested. What was this company doing? What was going on? And I did some simple things to learn more about what the company was doing. I even went to the steps of, we used to pay for 5, 6 different electric bills. And as an accountant, it'd be real easy to just say, well, we're paying electric bills. But I actually went out and I found out what each one of them meters was for. And I could say, well, we're paying this for this set and this for this part of the business. And then when things would go fluctuating, we're like, well, why is this electric bill all of a sudden this high? But we would actually know what it was for. You know, and nobody asked me to do that. Nobody said, hey, go out and do that. It was just something I was like, I want to know. You know, and so I began to, in that process of just starting out as an accounts payable clerk, and in that process, I began to move into management. And as opportunities came up, they began to move me into management. And then they started talking about doing this huge expansion. They were going to spend, I think it was a $10 million expansion. And they started asking me to come in and sit in on these meetings with these guys that were coming in to discuss this expansion that was going on. And here I'm thinking, why am I here? You know, I'm not, you know, I'm an accounts payable person, but that simply like you were saying, you know, the motivation to learn from the ground up, everything that was going on.
You know what I think of when you say that? You made yourself valuable. I could say it this way. I made myself valuable.
Right.
You know, and, you know, as you're talking, I sat and I think, and maybe if we could move this over, and, you know, we've been talking about what we've done, but, you know, part of that eagle, part of calling for that eagle is, you know, some men need to find their motivation again. Right. And maybe, if I could say it this way, start thinking a little bit differently about work, because you made yourself valuable there. So in some form or fashion, you even looked at that business as what you could do to be a blessing and be a servant to that business, to make yourself the best employee that you could possibly be.
Right.
You know, and I sit and I think of a man that I know, he makes a 6-figure income now. And most people would love a 6-figure income.
Absolutely. In today's economy?
Oh, man, yeah, I'd love a 6-figure income. But, you know, the thing is that I heard he got into this particular business, and he was a stockroom person. Stocked the, you know, supplies, or stocked the things that came in. The machinery and stuff came in. And he said he knew something about his boss, that his boss hated to see men standing around. So whenever he got through stocking, he'd find a broom and start sweeping up the floor. He'd pick up trash cans and take, you know, just doing something, staying motivated, that aspect of that body in motion, staying in motion.
Right.
Well, eventually when there came an opening for sales, and different people applied, his boss had seen he worked hard, he did a good job with what he did, and did an excellent job. He was motivated, swept the floor. He ended up getting that sales job, and eventually continued to excel in sales and whatever. And he's making a 6-figure income, but you see what he did was he swept the floor, he took out the garbage, he did his best to make that stock room and everything as good as he could. And in the process, he became valuable to that company, and they promoted him.
Right.
And I think, you know, just in that, you know, if we say to men that, Get out there and switch some motivation, switch that gear. I believe there's something on the inside of every man that you can flip a switch and you can say, all right, I've had it. I'm going to stop being lazy. I'm going to stop just doing what little I can. There's something on the inside of a man if he'll flip that switch.
Right.
I believe a man can do that.
Right.
So, man, if you're out there, maybe you'd like a six-figure income, or you say, man, I'd like management, or maybe I'd like somebody to recognize me, or I'd like to be promoted. Well, one of the keys is, work hard. It's find that switch of motivation and turn it on. And get in there. Show up a little bit early for work. Get in there and ask if you got some downtime, maybe ask if there's anything else you can do. Now, I'll be honest with you, there's probably going to be some people who call you some different names and say different things about you. But you tell them to shut up, and you get out there and you work hard. You look for opportunities to be a blessing to your company. I walked in one time and went in and began to talk with my boss about a whole new department. I shared a whole bunch of ideas with him. And I went in and his name was Dwayne. I said, Dwayne, and I outlined this whole idea. I just said, I've been thinking about this. And he might have been startled that I was even thinking about the company. But I gave him some ideas. And you know what, Ken? They started a whole new department, got with 13, 14 new people. And you know who was the head of that department? You're looking at him. At 21 years old, because I was thinking, I was looking for opportunity, and I was that self-motivated. So, man, sometimes you're complaining about your boss when maybe what you need to do is take a look at you and take a look at what you can do to be a greater servant and of greater value to your company. And maybe that's just a question you can ask yourself. How can I be of greater value to this business, to this company? How can I make my boss succeed? And I'm going to tell you something. You might have a few bad guys out there that are jerks or what have you. There might be a few. But the truth is, most employers today are looking for a man. I'm sure, Ken, you're looking for a man that's, how can I save my boss some money? How can I get,
How can you help me to accomplish a goal that I have? I can't do it on my own. And the average boss out there, the guy that knows, most of them know, they can't do it on their own. Mm-hmm. It's about surrounding yourself with the people that you need to accomplish that goal. And, there's a bunch of people out there that have egos, but they're few and far between. Generally, if you come to work, you set yourself in motion, you show that you're interested, the bosses are looking and they want you there.
Yep. And if the boss you got don't want you, there's another one out there someplace. And when they start talking layoff or what have you, you're going to be the one that they don't want to get rid of, because you add value to the company. You work hard. They can count on you. You produce. Listen, man, that's what an eagle does. That's what a man of excellence does. He accomplishes some things. He works hard and makes himself valuable to his employer. Thank you for joining us on For Men Only. Now there. I want shots of me making balls. All right. They're not seeing this. I just want shots of me making balls.
Man, I suck with cheater. He's letting me back in the game. I do appreciate that, by the way.
I just want to make you feel good about yourself.
Oh, you want me to take it easy on you to start?
Yeah, if you would, please. I'll let you play off the table and I'll play on the table.